Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show, and welcome again to this week's program. We have another great show for you. We have some interesting concepts we're going to be talking about in a few moments. You know, friends, they're already working on Brady 2. And as I've said many times before, now is the perfect chance to join the Shootin' Show Gun Club and help us, one, reach more people and instruct more people. But this is something you can do to help preserve your rights and certainly your children's rights to keep and bear arms, because we've got to reach as many people as possible all over this country. And right now, the Shootin' Show is the best way I know of doing it, is instructing people in how gun owners like you and I, in fact, really are, just normal citizens who happen to like firearms. And by the way, those of us who like firearms and can handle them properly, our homes are a lot more secure than those people who don't have guns and who don't know how to shoot. So let's get another Shootin' Show underway. Now friends, today we're going to look at a Mossberg 500, and this particular model is called a cruiser. And the one I'm holding here has the heat shield in place. It also has, it's in 12 gauge, and there's a reason that we would normally look at this gun under other circumstances, but today we're going to call this the next best thing to a handgun. You know, with the Brady bill going into effect, it takes 5 working days from the time you apply to buy a handgun so they can send their paperwork off to the sheriff or the chief law enforcement agency in your area to get the okay back, or in fact, if nothing comes back at all, you have permission, which I think is outrageous. We should not have to ask anybody, if we're a decent citizen or certainly responsible, to permission to buy a gun. And according to our Constitution, we shouldn't have to ask permission, but this is the way some of these lame-brain politicians, and that's what they are, they're lame-brain. And what they have in mind is their socialist Nazi agenda to literally take away everything. As you've heard me say many times on the program, they want to take away everything from us that shoots, so we will be, in effect, a defenseless society, and they can put all of their social programs in effect. Now, what we're dealing with here is a group of people who think they know better than we do, than all of us out here who are just hard-working people that like to shoot. Suddenly we have these people in Washington, and they've got some clones down on local levels who think that they know more than we do about how to run our lives, and that's what this is all about. Anyway, as we're saying about our Mossberg 500 cruiser, this is probably the next best thing to a handgun. You know, a problem in a situation at home, if you're going around through the house, if you have a long gun, you know, you're dealing with something that sticks out there. Someone may be able to wrest this away from you or wrestle this away from you, and as I've said before on the program, you don't want to be in a wrestling match with someone, an intruder in your home, with your gun. You darn sure do not want to be in that position. Now, a shotgun is probably the ultimate home defense gun. One such as this 870 Remington pump, it will take literally any sort of load. You don't have to worry about whether or not there's enough power in that particular shell to operate the action, since it is a manual action. And a lot of people with a little practice can shoot a pump shotgun nearly as fast and accurately as they can a semi-automatic. For the shooting games and things like that, the semi-automatics, especially the recoil guns like the Benelli, have some advantages in pure speed when you're using birdshot. But in the real world, the slide action or pump shotgun is at really no disadvantage whatsoever. And in fact, in the normal everyday situation, the manually operated guns probably have some advantages, because they'll take any kind of shell, any different load, from a magnum load down to a clay target or a field load, and still function reliably. It's just up to the individual to pump that action and make the gun cycle. Well, this is where our Mossberg cruiser, see, where the stock would normally start on this Remington, or for that matter on the regular old Mossberg, you have a pistol grip. And of course this barrel is an 18-inch barrel versus 20-inch on our Remington here, but you can see there's a dramatic difference in length. Now then, that's one of the chief advantages that a handgun has as a home defense gun, especially if you have an intruder in your home. this would be a difficult, or shall we say more difficult, to manipulate in a vehicle for a police officer or certainly for a citizen now with the rash of carjackings going on. But believe me, if you got into action, I believe that there wouldn't be a contest if once you got the gun into action. But this is one of the great things about a handgun. You can have a flashlight in one hand and your handgun back here out of the way in case someone tries to take it away from you. You can shine your light, you can go around a door such as we go around this target here, and you can, the handgun is really so, in fact, handy. That's the thing that makes them so useful. They are handy. Well, now that the Brady Bill's in effect, some of us are in situations some of us have been threatened, and there are documented cases of certain individuals around the country that went to buy a handgun for personal protection because they had been threatened, and they were killed or brutalized before they could ever pick up their handgun. It is ridiculous, but that's the situation we're having to deal with now. It's one that we, in fact, are faced with. Next best thing, how about our Mossberg Cruiser? One, the gun can be kept in a state of readiness with the magazine loaded and the chamber empty, and you have a little switch here on the side, a little detent there that push up, and you can pump that action. It only takes a fraction of a second. You can put a flashlight, say, in your off hand, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, and you can actually shine around with a flashlight in the dark with letting the muzzle, of course, go with your light. And with a little practice, believe it or not, you can function. You can cycle that action with a flashlight held in your hand. Now, there are also some attachments that will put a flashlight, let it mount to the end of the magazine or barrel, or even on the slide here on the shotgun. But there are some tremendous advantages. There's also the intimidation factor that this shotgun would have. You know, you talk about grabbing your attention, cycling a pump shotgun in the dark is going to have a tremendous psychological effect on anyone who's not supposed to be in your home. Everyone is familiar, even if they've seen it on television, which is pure fiction most of the time, but they think they have an idea of what a 12-gauge shotgun will do up close and personal. And you also have the advantage of using birdshot. Now, on a gun like this Cruiser, even for someone of my size, anything over birdshot is a little bit punishing. These shotguns are really designed to be shot with a shoulder stock, but in your home now, in a defensive situation, even for shooting snakes or pests at close ranges, birdshot's all you need. The advantages of birdshot is they won't go through multiple walls. There's much less danger of you injuring someone else in your household, and believe me, up close and personal, they are about as effective a weapon system as you can get. Now then, friends, we're loading the gun. These guns hold 5 in the magazine, and that's 5 is plenty for what we're talking about. And of course, you can load them as I have 5. It's easy to carry a couple of shells in your pocket. You can shoot a couple of times, and then you can load them on the go. That's what's so ridiculous about this so-called striker or street sweeper shotgun. They do hold 12 shots, but a regular old manual pump shotgun like this, there are so many that you can shoot 4 or 5 times and then load it on the move. Tremendous advantages, where on the striker or the street sweeper, once you've shot those 12 rounds, then you've got to manually eject them, which is very slow. They're very slow to load and unload, much like a single-action revolver. Anyway, let's take a look at it, let you see it in my hands, and be sure and get my hearing protection. And, you know, friends, for those new viewers who are just watching our program for the first time, we always wear eye and ear protection down on the range. There's just no point in shooting and damaging your hearing or your vision or anything else for that matter. So I have these soft gel earplugs. In fact, we sell these through the Bullet Express. They're extremely effective, and they're very comfortable, of course. So let's take a look at it in my hands and see what you think about recoil. So, see, that wasn't too terribly bad. And of course, I believe we have one left here. So, and you can aim the gun. And of course, you got to be aware, you don't want to get in front of your nose now, because You darn sure don't want the butt of this gun to punch you in the nose, but you can actually aim the gun like, and be fairly accurate with it. It's better than you might think.
Hi, I'm Bob Brown, Vietnam veteran and publisher of Soldier of Fortune magazine, described by some as the most politically incorrect magazine in the United States. Every issue we publish in-depth, provocative articles by our investigative reporters on the efforts of gun-grabbing politicians and the BATF to undermine our Second Amendment rights, and what you can do to stop them. Also on-site coverage of the government's abuse of power has occurred in the Randy Weaver tragedy and the Waco fiasco. No puff, no fluff, in-depth technical reviews of new firearms and ammo. In short, hard-hitting action articles of immediate interest to all real Americans, available from no other mainstream media. You need the other side of the story. That's why I'm offering a one-year subscription to Soldier of Fortune for only $22. That's over a 50% saving. Also, we're going to throw in a free 67-page bonus coverage of all our Waco material that's appeared in Soldier of Fortune and how it affects you. Call our 1-800 number now.
And that number is 1-800-877-5207. Again, 1-800-877-5207. A year subscription to Soldier Fortune magazine plus the Waco supplement. Friends, this is a great bargain for a great magazine.
Now then, friends, let's talk about, here's my standard old 1991 A1 Colt Gubbert model and the 45. Now, let's look at the little hole on the target. And that's why the Brady Bill is so stupid, because, you know, I mean, if you're going to a firefight, my gosh, you're going to carry a shotgun anyway. But let's take a look at the handgun, the hole on the target. See, we're talking about a little bitty hole right here on the target. Now then, friends, let's take a look at what the 12-gauge shotgun, even at this distance, will look like. And I think you'll agree, there's just no comparison. So this is something, again, is an alternative to our handgun, and here's what I would suggest doing. Go down to your gun shop. Now, if you're a woman, I would not recommend a 12-gauge. I would recommend a 410, certainly no more than a 20-gauge, because up close and personal, believe me, you've got plenty of power. At the ranges, you might have to use one of these inside your home. Please, the ladies do not need to get a 12-gauge. A 410 is good. A 20-gauge would probably be about optimum for a woman of reasonable strength. If there's any doubt about your upper body strength and your ability to deal with recoil, strictly go with the 410, because, again, at close ranges, they're going to be pretty doggone effective. So, what we can do is you can go down to your local gun store, and the beauty part about these Mossberg cruisers is they are inexpensive to purchase. I'll tell you what, they're probably one of the best bargains available out there in firearms today. Purchase you, because there's no waiting period, especially if you're concerned for your life. Purchase yourself a Mossberg 500 in this cruiser. If you want to spend a little more money, you can get, of course, an 870 Remington with pistol grip, and probably some others like the Winchester 1300. They're all good guns. We're talking about the Mossberg because they are inexpensive. This gun's going to retail for a little over $200, probably less than certainly you're going to pay for the average handgun anyway. So go ahead and take a couple of $100 or $225 or so dollars, get you a Mossberg cruiser, and 1 week later, when your paperwork comes back on your handgun, well, you can take your cruiser down there and sell it back to the gun store. In most cases, they'll probably let you do that. Now, you're going to take a loss on it, but heck, what's your life worth? If you're worried about your life, what's $100 or $50 or whatever? And you may find that you really like this gun anyway. You may want to get your handgun and keep the Mossberg, because you can get a shoulder stock for these guns. Choate in Arkansas makes a folding stock for this gun, and I can think of a whole lot of uses for that. So they really are fun to shoot and learn to deal with. They are extremely intimidating in a confrontational situation. And these guns, we've seen and used a lot of them over the years, these old Mossbergs. I tell you what, they've all been reliable. And for the money, you just can't beat them. So again, this is the next best thing for a handgun, and for some people, they may be a better choice than a handgun anyway, because some people are more comfortable with a slightly bigger gun or with certainly a shotgun. So this is something that we're concerned about. A lot of people, you know, that's the thing about the Brady bill. It's going to hurt the people, the decent people, the people who sometimes cannot wait around to get a firearm. Because, friends, you know, the police are not going to be there when the attack comes. And it only takes seconds or a very few minutes for an attack to start, and one of yourself or someone in your family to be horribly injured and scarred for life if you survive at all. And believe me, this is something that could prevent a tragedy in your home.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. You know, friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. Now, whether you have an FFL or not, you'll certainly enjoy reading the fantastic list of things in every Shotgun News issue. 3 big issues monthly. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska. That's zip 68902. The phone number, area 402-463-4589. For MasterCard or Visa for subscriptions only. Now call them at 1-800-345-6923.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in Austin, Texas, and this young man standing here is none other than Chip McCormick himself. And of course, Chip has had a very spectacular career in shooting. Of course, he is a manufacturer. How about an entrepreneur? And yes, he's going to be doing some features for us on our program, giving you folks some ideas about how to shoot a gun fast and accurately. And tell you the truth, he's one of the best qualified people in the country. Now, Chip is a 2-time world speed shooting champion, and of course his office, he's got trophies and plaques for days in here, and we're so pleased to have him on the program today. Chip makes some very unique products that I know a lot of you are going to be interested in, and will certainly help all of us. Now, Chip, what are you going to show us today?
Well, Johnny, let me start off by kind of telling you how I got started in this program. I manufacture performance improvement products for 1911. Way back when I started competing in world-class competition for the purpose of winning trophies like this and titles, I began my effort to improve the performance and the dependability of the 1911 pistol. That kind of evolved into a business, and now that's my full-time effort now in business, is to deliver products to the public, the 1911 owner, to improve the performance and dependability in their pistols. And to do that with products that are very simply installed and easy to understand, but make your pistol a lot more fun to shoot. And
When you said easily installed, that's a big one.
That is a big one, because people commonly believe that when you do any improvement to your pistol, you have to send it to a gunsmith, and it's gone for weeks or months at a time, and it's going to cost a whole lot of money. And we're trying to put a stop to that. We're trying to make those performance improvements easy. We're increasing the capacity of the pistol, and we're making the trigger pull equal to that of what we think a master grade gunsmith could do.
Well, all right. Well, let's take a look.
Okay. You know, Johnny, one thing you learn in competition is your equipment. You're constantly trying to improve the performance and dependability. And the pistols that I was using in these world championships were certainly state-of-the-art, and I think their performance and dependability was as good as any pistol on the market at the time. Now what I'm trying to do today is to deliver products to the 1911 owner that give him performance and dependability improvements. First thing I'd like to discuss with you is my very first product, which was the 8-round 1911 magazine. The original 1911 magazine was a 7-shot magazine, and what I have here is a patented follower device, which associated with the spring, you install that in your standard 1911 magazine, and immediately you get 8 rounds in there. Now, we sell the magazine complete. As a matter of fact, we're fortunate that 2 of America's top 1911 manufacturers use these magazines as factory standard in their pistols. I think that's testimony to the performance improvement and the dependability. But we do sell just a spring and follower kit, and it installs very easily in your standard magazines, just like this. And that's all it takes, and your 7-round magazine's now an 8-round magazine. The other products that we make is a replacement hammer and sear. You replace the standard hammer and sear that came with the original 1911, this being a copy of a 1911, and what you end up with is what, in my opinion, is a master grade trigger pull. Now, it's basically designed for a gunsmith to install and safety check the mechanism, but really anybody qualified to remove and replace parts in a 1911 is capable of installing these components. Johnny, this hammer and sear utilizes some of the most state-of-the-art technology available in manufacturing today. The hammer and sear is cut out of a steel plate with an EDM process. That stands for electrical discharge machining. That's a process that can cut a profile to a tolerance of 1,000. That is 1/3 the thickness of your human hair. And that's real important to get the performance that we want, is we're holding very close tolerance. Now, another thing that we're able to accomplish is we put a polish we call the micro finish on the engagement surfaces of the hammer and sear. That allows us to control the parallelism, the angular alignment, which allows us to get the perfectly crisp and trigger pull of a poundage of whatever is appropriate for the application the customer wants on their pistol. Johnny, this is a special lubricant we call Trigger Job. Trigger Job is intended for the specific application to the engagement surface of your trigger group. In this case, the sear tip and the cock notch on the hammer. It's a high viscosity lubricant. It has a very adhesive ability, which means when the gun gets hot or gets hot outside, the lubricant will not run off of the surfaces that we've applied them to. This lubricant will extend the service life of the components, as well as reduce the trigger pull simply by its application. Some people have said application of this lubricant is in itself like doing a trigger job. Johnny, one more thing I want to tell you about today is a new frame that I'm working on. It's a replacement frame for the old 1911 pistol. The replacement frame being the silver part you can see here. This one looks a little rough because it's an early prototype, but it's going to be an exciting product when we go to market with it, because what it's going to do is this replacement is going to increase the capacity of your old 1911 from 8 rounds to 13 rounds. Additionally, it's going to have double action capability. My intention is that when you replace your old frame with this one, is you now have a pistol that is up to date, state of the art, as any of the brand new pistols which are on the market today offering double action and high capacity. Of course, we'll be doing it with the old dependable caliber 45. With that said, we'll talk about that in the future. Johnny, why don't we go back into the shop and take this hammer and sear and install it in a pistol and see just what kind of trigger job we can do for you today. Johnny, we're back in the stock room here at Chip & Cormick Corporation. We don't really have a gunsmithing operation, so we're going to make do here. This individual is David Locke. David Locke is in charge of all engineering services for the products that we manufacture. He does the research and development, the designs, and he's the walking, talking, two-legged secret weapon that we have here at CMC. And what we're going to do is we're going to install that hammer and sear, which, by the way, folks, we let Johnny pick out of inventory here, so just to show everybody this is not a fixed or controlled experiment here. And what we're going to do is try and demonstrate for your viewers how simple it is to get a master grade trigger pull on that 1911. Okay, let's do it, Dave.
What we have here is a standard Series 70 1911 I've had it for several years now. I keep it around as an example of a gun that hadn't been modified. It has all stock parts on it, and I have trigger weights here up to about 4¼ pounds, and it's over that. It's probably around a six-pound trigger pull, pretty standard, out of the box trigger pull you get on the Colt. What I'm going to do is I'm going to install a lock model hammer and one of our standard semi-prep sears into the gun. Now, because I'm going to be putting a lock-style hammer into it, I'm going to have to change the grip safety to have the relief for the hammer spur. So I'm going to use a modified grip safety. And that'll be the thing we're going to change on it. So I'm just going to disassemble the gun and put the parts in.
Johnny, while he's doing this, I want your viewers to understand that this is intended to be done by qualified personnel. We always recommend that the parts be installed by an experienced professional gunsmith familiar with the 1911. However, anyone that's qualified to disassemble and reassemble their pistol can effectively make the change and end up with the proper trigger pull. One thing you always have to be cognizant of is that the safety mechanism is still functioning as appropriate, and understand that the way you tune the disconnect and the sear spring, which is this leaf spring here, this being the disconnect spring, this being the sear spring, that the way you tune those items, as well as the tension that you have in your mainspring, will definitely affect the resulting trigger pull.
Now, one of the things you have to do whenever you disassemble a gun like this is to make sure that you don't have any burrs or anything else inside of the frame, because the parts that we're supplying are basically to the maximum material condition of what the tolerance would be for the Colt factory parts. This is purposely done to take up any slack and slop you would have in the parts so you could effect the best possible trigger job, plus to give the master gunsmith the ability to tune the gun exactly the way he wants it, because every gun is unique. Now, one thing about this particular firearm is that the hole for the sear pin is actually not aligned. This gun probably shouldn't have left the factory the way it was. When I put the sear pin into it, I can't get it to go all the way across. It locks into position. But even with that, not being square, we're going to be able to effect a relatively good trigger job by just using the standard components into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stone, I'm going to stone the inside of the frame a little bit just to knock off any burrs that might be in here. Because as I was taking it apart, I noticed this one had a couple of burrs on the inside. Let's see now if the standard sear will fit into it. Appears that it does. Going to see if it fits on the sear pin. It does. Does the hammer fit on the hammer pin, which is rolled someplace? There it is. It does. Good. Okay. Parts be there. So we're going to rob the strut pin and the strut from the other hammer. Now, one of the things that's important to remember is that whenever we use a new part like this, that it's very important we have lots of lubrication on it, because we have these finely micro-honed finishes on these things, and if you have metal-to-metal contact, you're going to scar this fine finish. So we're going to use some of our special purpose lubricant, our trigger job, to put on to the parts to make sure that it's safe. That it's not safe, it's safe for the parts themselves. Now that I have the strut in place, I'm going to make sure that the part is actually safe. It needs to be inspected. It needs to be looked at from a safety standpoint. I need to make sure there's not anything to impede the part falling to the half cock or safety notch. And I need to check to make sure the hammer hooks are full and square. Even though they go through a safety inspection process and a quality control and a quality assurance check, when they leave here, it's always good that somebody inspects and makes sure the part, meets the requirements. The part appears to be okay. We're going to put some lube on both the trigger hooks. This is trigger job. Very tenacious material. It's made to be used only upon surfaces like that. Now we're going to take the disconnector, we're going to inspect it for burrs. Appears to be relatively free. Disconnect, we'll do the same thing with the sear. We'll inspect the sear for the same thing. Checking all the edges to make sure they're square. No bad things. No burrs. Looks in good shape. Trigger job on the sear face.
Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Now, friends, this is a picture you've seen many times on the Shootin' Show and past programs. This is none other than RB17, the best gun cleaner that we have ever, in fact, encountered. This is really terrific stuff. You can clean your lead, your brass, everything out of your gun barrel. It does it quickly and easily, and RB17 has the advantage of being biodegradable. Now, everyone who has tried this product, friends, has come away impressed. In fact, you can get it from us here at the show through the Bullet Express. You can ask for it at your local gun shop, or you can get it from the manufacturer, and that is GBC Industries down in Spring, Texas. Their zip code is 77383. You can call them at area 713-350-9690.
You know, Johnny, as David's working here, I want to reiterate all the items that David says to look for, such as the burrs and the relationship of one part to another. It's why we want to really make it clear to your viewer that this is not something to be done for people to have a superficial knowledge of their firearm. As simple as I say it is, the factor that is not simple is to always maintain safety, and safety is what's important with a firearm. If I can, Johnny, I'd like to tell you the 4 principles of safety that we practice here at Chip McCormick with firearms. And the first principle of safety is that we always treat a firearm as if it's loaded. No matter how certain we are that that firearm is not loaded, we always want to treat it that way. We want to respect it as if it's loaded. The second principle of safety we practice here is that we never allow the firearm to be pointed at any object that we're not willing to destroy with that firearm. Thirdly, we don't want to intentionally ever point the pistol at an object that we've not already identified as a viable target. And the fourth principle of safety is that you never put your finger on the trigger or shoot that pistol until you have a proper grip, shooting position, and you've identified your target well and you're focused on the front sight.
All right, friends, what we've done, we're going to weigh the trigger pull. We know it was 6.5 pounds at first. So go ahead, David, let's do that right now and show just what these components have done. And he is letting the parts mate slightly with each other there. So now it's breaking at what?
Between 4 and 4 1/4 pounds.
Well, now, honestly, on a carry gun, 4 pounds or so, that's about as light as you want to go.
That's a good trigger, and of course in NRA bullseye competition, they have to have at least a 4-pound trigger. So all those fantastic groups that those excellent shooters, those master grade shooters are shooting, which are groups like this at 50 yards, they're doing with a 4-pound trigger. As I say, Johnny, again, it's the feel of that trigger that is so important, not just the poundage of pull.
Oh yeah, much nicer. You can really tell the difference in feel of. Oh yeah,
it's the difference of day and night.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Well, friends, let me check my old 1911, and you know we always check these guns that we handle here on the program to be sure that they're unloaded when they're supposed to be. And this, in fact, this is my old well-used Colt 1991 A1, and Chip sent a couple of parts home with me the other day after we left his shop, and they come in little bags like this. This is a hammer and sear. In fact, these are the ones I put back in there that came out of this gun, mainly because the Chip McCormick parts I put in this old 1911 are not going to come out. It improved the trigger so much on my 1911 as it was very, very surprising just how much difference that a couple of parts like that can make. Now, those of you that are new to shooting or are not familiar with 1911s or semi-automatics in general will not fully appreciate just how much these parts from Chip do help these guns. They improve the trigger, they make it crisp, and really the only thing I did, now they are designed, of course, as you heard Chip say, to be installed by a professional gunsmith, but it's so simple that in fact I was able to install them myself. If you're not sure about how to do that, by all means take the parts down to a professional gunsmith and let him install them for you, because there's just no use in taking a chance. However, I managed to get mine installed, and it improved the old gun so much. The trigger is much nicer. It is crisp, and really it's about as light as I like. It's a 4.5 pound trigger, very crisp, and for a carry gun, which this is, that's plenty light for me. And we also came home with a magazine kit that you can take your regular 7-round 45 ACP Colt type magazine, and this will make it into an 8-round magazine. And of course you can buy the 8-round magazines for the 45 ACP from Shooting Star, and of course that's Chip McCormick Industries. Friends, these are very well made. In fact, they're not nearly as expensive as some of the other custom or aftermarket magazines out there, and this is a great bargain. In fact, in our Bullet Express, I'm certainly going to recommend these over what we have been selling in the Bullet Express, because one, they're nicer, they're made better than what has been available, and they are at an excellent price, and we're all concerned about that. Now, to contact, here's what you need to do. Call Chip McCormick Corporation at 1-800-328-2447 and get them to send you a free catalog. Now, friends, it's not going to cost you anything, but believe me, you're going to be glad you did. If you have a 1911, you need to call this phone number, 1-800-328-2447. Get them to send you a free catalog, because they have a number of parts here that those of us that have 1911s really need to know about. The manufacturer, their tolerances are just out of this world. They're just superior. So they're very nice people. So this is something that we can help ourselves by. Call them and get that free catalog. Well, let's take a look one more time, and I think what we're going to do, we're going to call this Mossberg 500. We're going to call it, yes, it is unloaded. How about our Brady Bill Special? Friends, it's outrageous what the anti-gun types are doing to us, and yes, they are doing it to us, because there's no excuse for what they're saying, for their attitude, except that they want to put this society into a socialist Nazi type society where a few elite people call all the shots. They tell all of us what to do. I'm not ready for that. I don't want that. We don't want their one world government. And let me just give you an example of what's happening here in our society. Put our Brady Bill Special down here. Yeah, that's a good name for that. Kurt sent me this. It was from the New York Daily News earlier this week. And what they're doing, the name of this article is called Drawing a Bead on the City's Guns. And it says here, just let me read a little bit of this to you. From the hallways, far from the hallways of Congress and the state legislature, New York City's police have opened a bold new front in the gun control battle. They're on the streets of the most dangerous precinct trying to seize as many illegal guns as possible. And the newspaper says this, it says, "May their hunting be bountiful." Now what they're doing, friends, they're riding down the street there and they see someone who they think might be carrying a gun, who may not be doing anything wrong, just walking down the street, and they stop them and they frisk them. Now wait a minute, what happened to the Constitution? How can the police, if you're not doing anything wrong, just walking down the street, how can they stop and search you? Now that's outrageous. Now we understand this has been going on for a while in Washington, D.C., and it says here, let's go down in the article, it says this is not to suggest chipping away at civil rights. It is only to support an assertive use of police authority. Okay. Legally, a cop may stop an individual reasonably suspected of carrying a gun. For the program to work, that reasonable suspicion standard must be adhered to strictly. That in turn means training cops to spot signs that someone is carrying a gun, such as a bulge in a jacket or suspicious movements. Friends, hey, it's happening just like it did in Germany. It is happening here now. This is not something that's far off. It's happening now. What about our rights? What about the 10 Amendments? What about our Constitution? That all you have to be doing is walk down the street and the police say, well, I don't know. That old boy looks questionable to me. Let's stop them and search them. Now, friends, this is outrageous. You need to write your congressman about this and tell them we want this stopped. We're not going to put up with this. We've got to stop it. You know, where's personal dignity? What happened to that? let's go back to the article for just a moment. It says, time will tell whether this pilot program has any effect with an estimated 2 million illegal handguns in the city of New York. Now, wait a minute, friends. New York City has the toughest gun control, certainly among the toughest gun control laws in the United States. How much good have these gun control laws done? None whatsoever. Where only the criminal element, the bad guys, see, they've already got the guns, and they can buy them, they can steal them on the street. They don't have to go through a reputable dealer. That's what makes this ridiculous Brady bill so doggone stupid, and that's what it is, because the criminal is going to find a way to get a gun. If he's a criminal, he's already breaking the law. I mean, can't these people understand anything? Well, in fact, yes, they can. And it's not about getting the guns away from criminals. In fact, it's about getting the guns away from us, the honest citizen, because we're the people who are going to stop, or who can stop, the socialist agenda that these people have putting in place. I mean, friends, something has got to be done. Now, here's what you can do. You can join the Shoot and Show Gun Club. You can help us reach more people with our message. You can help us in our fun gun promotions around the country, and we'll have schedules starting on that very soon. You can call us at 1-800-895-7916, $25 annual membership. You get to buy from the Bullet Express at the discounts we've talked about, and we'll send you a form saying all the things that we stand for, what we hope to achieve. And friends, let me tell you what. There's something else, and what is so important about this program. You know, we are sticklers for accuracy and for proper information. Just like the parts that we were talking about from Chip earlier, we talk about those parts because they work. And these are reputable manufacturers, and they do work. If you see it here on the Shootin' Show, now this is important to know. If you see it here on this program, it is to the absolute best of our knowledge and the best of our ability. It is true. Now, we get reports of things going on around the country all through here. You'd be amazed at some of the stuff that comes to our office. There are some outrageous things the government is doing. We've got to be careful, because the government's doing enough bad stuff that we need to let you know about. There are some people out there who are saying things that cannot be substantiated. If we hear a rumor on the program, if we talk about a rumor, that's all in fact it is. But so many things are being said now, we're afraid that some of these people are trying to make a reputation for themselves, or trying to get attention to sell different things, to sell books, to sell videos, whatever else, and they may be adding to the stew. They may be saying some things that cannot be substantiated. Well, let me tell you what, friends, the government is acting bad enough already. We don't have to exaggerate. You see, the truth is our major weapon. That's what we have, that the anti-gun type, see, they're a bunch of liars. They're a bunch of people who cannot conceive of us as individuals being responsible. See, they're weak in the brain. What we have going for us is, let's tell the truth. That's all it takes. Let's just tell them the facts. Give them the facts. The American people have historically made the right decision. So, friends, if you see it on this program, doggone it, we're going to every length we can to be sure, in fact, it is true. Again, join the Shoot and Show Gun Club today. We need you. We have got to get this message out to the rest of America.
Now, friends, I have my Colt 1991 A1 here, and I've installed my Chip McCormick hammer and sear, and essentially, and of course, I use their trigger job lubricant, and essentially that's what the gun has now, is a trigger job. This has not been a particularly accurate gun. It's been very reliable and of course fun to shoot, but it's never been particularly accurate. And you know, a lot of how you're going to shoot your gun is how it feels and how consistent that trigger pull is. And I help the trigger on this gun with those parts 100%. And there's also, I'm using the Shooting Star magazine that will hold 8 rounds instead of your standard 7 in your 45 ACP. So let's take a look at it on paper. It's easier to shoot well.
The Shoot and Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very fine guest here today. This is none other than Colonel Charlie Beckwith, whom many of you will know from his Delta Force novels. Of course, he's been a military officer. He's been in intelligence work all these years. Green Beret, one of the most qualified military experts in small arms and all sorts of training situations and procedures known, in fact, worldwide. And we're so pleased to be here with him today. Sir, I understand.
Thank you, John.
Well, one, it's a great pleasure meeting you, and this is what is so nice. People come to this man from all over the world, many different countries, and they ask his opinion because here's a man who has been in so many real confrontational or combat situations. And sir, I'd like to say it's a pleasure meeting you for me. I mean, it's a big deal for me.
We've had a good visit.
Hey, and we've had a good time.
You've brought up a lot of things to me, and you had a lot of messages, and I've been remiss for not knowing you earlier.
Well,
and I really have enjoyed it, and I'm very concerned. I am a gun enthusiast, and when I hear you speak and the message that you have, it frightens me, because the people in Washington obviously are trying to take my guns away from me, and I don't like that.
Well, I think you're right, and of course, I'm going to venture to say that 99% of the other military personnel will feel just like you.
Well, they're not attuned to what's going on, in my view. I would hope that any veteran that's watching this program would be concerned that what he fought for this great country, for the Second Amendment, for the right to prove to the world that you're an American and a member of the greatest fighting machine, the greatest country in the world.
I think what you're saying, we don't want to be part of a one-world government.
I don't. I don't want my family to be a part of it.
We're Americans first.
Absolutely.
And what these, and you know, sir, and he has asked me to call him Charlie. I honorably would say Colonel Beckwith, but what we're faced with is the socialists in Washington, and that's what they are. They're socialists in Washington, literally want to take our rights away as individuals. And I think your message today is to all those military people out there. And anybody who has an inkling of military history and knowledge about this man here knows that he is sincere, has been a decorated patriot certainly all these years, and his message, your message is to these veterans that we have got to get involved.
Spend 29 cents, and each veteran, if he'd spend 29 cents and write a letter to his representative in the Congress and explain that he is not happy with what's taking place with gun control, among other things that have been mentioned here on this program, I think you would really do strike a blow for freedom.
Well, I think Colonel Beckwith, Charlie, sir, will agree with me. If we lose that Second Amendment, well, we're dead in water. Our Constitution is suddenly ineffective. Hey, friends, wait a minute. If we give up our rights as citizens, do you think that these people who are manipulating our government, you think they're going to give our rights back? Do you think they have our best interests at heart? Well, absolutely not. And we need to work together, and we appreciate, of course, all our viewers and you military personnel who have been involved. Some of you have fought for this country in the past. Some of you are injured today. Some are carrying scars from battlefields at far distances. We need everyone's help. And we absolutely cannot give this thing away. We absolutely cannot. And Charlie, sir, thank you so much for
really
meeting you.
With you.
We really have.
I want you to come back to Texas.
Well, hey, we're going to do it.
Now, you know, friends, speaking of the military, if you'd like your gun to shoot the best it can, for your gun to be the best it can be, what you need to do is get you some Corbon ammunition. You know, a lot of people out there really don't know if their gun shoots accurately or not until they try Corbon ammunition, because it is the most accurate, the most high performance and consistent ammunition that we have ever run across. Corbon is available in a large number of handgun and rifle loads, and they also have some specialty calibers that have been very difficult to find in the past, now available from Corbon. Now, here's how to find out information on Corbon ammunition. Give them a call at 1-800-626-7266. Not going to cost you anything. to find out about the very best ammunition in the world today, as far as I'm concerned, certainly. 1-800-626-7266 for the ultimate in high performance and dependable ammunition. And you know what? If you're going to use ammunition, if you're going to use a firearm, certainly in defense of your life, you shouldn't be carrying anything but Corbond. It's absolutely the best there is.
I'd like to welcome you here to Gunsight. The training that you'll get here will perhaps be some of the most meaningful training that you'll ever get.
Good job. Okay, down the guard, finger straight, looking good. Pick it up. Move out. Next shooter, step on up. Ease across. Side press. Shoot. Don't move.
Hit! Right here's one of our simulators here at Gunsight. It's called the Firebox. Primarily used for the shotgun.
Eyes, muzzle, target. The training that is put out here is nationally and internationally recognized as the best in the world.
Of leading with the muzzle. That's a dead. We are the oldest and best.
But you're not going to go down there like a water buffalo snorting and bucking and jumping. You cannot buy this scenery anyplace else in the world. What was the problem there? What was the problem?
When a student comes to Gunsight to learn, that learning process is not interrupted by the occasional weapon failure. If they have a problem, it's repaired immediately.
Try it again. This is the grip only. Ready? Grip!
When they leave here, that they feel like that they are definitely in control of their environment.
Ready? Stand by. Fire.
I feel protected if I ever go out shopping alone. I can carry my weapon and know that I can handle it.
You can protect yourself, your family, your kids.
Stand by. Fire.
It's a big family. Once you've gone to Gunsight, you're part of the family.
Gunsight is about 25 miles north of Prescott, Arizona, and we're located at an elevation of about 4,500 feet. The terrain is rolling hills with some ravines, and it's sprinkled with juniper trees and scrub oaks and high desert mesa type vegetation. The drive out to the ranch is just simply gorgeous. It's wide open, the air is clean, the sunsets are beautiful. On our ranch, we've got 27 shooting ranges. Among those different shooting ranges, we've got 3 shooting houses in which a person can shoot 360 degrees indoors.
There he is!
And then large hunting courses or assault courses where the student will go through a ravine and the targets may be anywhere from 20 yards to 500 yards in length.
And again, good job.
Increased in the size of the facility, the quality of the simulators we use, and we're always striving to improve. It's a continual process.
The guy that was hit square in the head did anything except turn off and relax. Hitting the guy in the body can have some problems. The days are clear, the nights are crisp, the scenery is pretty, and you can come out here and acquire a usable life skill and enjoy yourself and have a good time and make a vacation out of it, which a lot of our students do.
Okay, gentlemen, this is the shoot-off portion of the course. You will both be seated here. Your shotguns are in the ready position with the double-up buck in it. The majority of the students that come up here are interested in learning to shoot. They look at Gunsight as a shooting school, and certainly we are that. We do teach shooting. We teach marksmanship, but we also teach mindset, and we teach the individual to feel comfortable with his environment, but more than that, to control his or her environment. When they get up to the school, we teach them how to use the weapon, how to use the weapon that they bring in, how to feel comfortable in the environment that they're either living in or working in. And that's what the student leaves here, is with a mindset of comfort, knowing that if they get faced with a deadly encounter on the street, as happens every day, that they are in charge of their environment and they can handle the situation. So we're basically selling peace of mind to the student.
Crisis management for close range, personal, interpersonal confrontations. It's what it's all about. So think.
We are sincerely interested in their well-being and their learning experience, and that if in some small way we can give them some type of information or tools that will help them survive a lethal encounter should they be involved in one, then all is worthwhile.
I'd like to welcome you here to Gunsight. The training that you'll get here will perhaps be some of the most meaningful training that you'll ever get.
Now, friends, this is so exciting. We're so happy to be working with Gunsight Training Center. Rich G is one of the nicest people in the industry we've met, and trust me on this one, they have a fabulous facility if you want to learn to shoot your gun. For once in your life, if you'd really like to learn to do something the absolute best you can, well, give Gunsight Training Center out in Paulden, Arizona a call. Now, their phone number is area 602-636-4565. Call them and ask them to send you one of their schedules, and it's not nearly as expensive as some of us might think it would be. They also have a product line from their gunsmithy that is well worth looking at. They're such nice people, and we're going to go out later on this year. We're going to do a couple of features out there, and again, if you really want to learn how to shoot a gun in the nicest possible environment, a place where you can really clear your lungs and your head out, well, think about Gunsight. Give them a call, area 602-636-4565.
Sure, once in a while you get into stuff you shouldn't, and you like to play make-believe, and sometimes you even try to find things on your own. But kids, if you ever find a gun, stop right there. Don't touch the gun, and leave right away to tell your mom, dad, or another adult. You see, guns are not toys. So kids, if you ever do find one, please, don't even go near it. This message is a public service of this station and the National Shooting Sports Foundation.
Well, friends, we have a little news item for you. We're so happy to report that the good folks at Wesson Firearms are up and running again. And, of course, they have some exciting new products, and, yes, you're going to see it first right here on the Shooting Show. They're such nice people. They build a terrific product. And by all means, if you're looking for a revolver, well, please consider the Wesson. Well, the folks here in the studio are telling me that we have run out of time. So we want to thank every one of you for being here with us today for the Shooting Show. We look forward to seeing you again next time. And until next time, how about good shooting but safe shooting?